The clock is ticking to reach a solution which will prevent a potential default on the U.S. debt. And while talk has centered on the impact this will have on the global economy, there's a real threat to many Americans who have investments in the stock market, especially those getting close to retirement. With 3 days to go until the debt ceiling is reached, interim state program leader Michael Gutter for UF's Family and Consumer Sciences says the worst thing you can do amid a financial crisis is try to predict what Congress will do.
If somebody says, oh, today Congress still hasn't fixed the debt ceiling limit, so I'm going to take all my money out and deal with all of that. Well, number one, they could potentially create a lot of transaction costs. They may end up, if they actually took it out of their retirement accounts, they'd face a lot of taxes and tax penalties. But the reality is that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And so the sheerest wisdom we always say is if you try and guess what's going to happen, there's a good chance you're just wrong. So if somebody sort of panics and takes their money out today and Congress, figures this all out and is able to find a deal to avoid this catastrophe, they could end up having made the really opposite choice of what they should have had.
Gutter says planning your spending is critical during these times.
I know in just talking with one family, they went from being snowbirds to giving that up to just choosing to live in one location. The other thing, too, will be just better planning for health care that people may have to anticipate, ways in which they'll be able to deal with health care expenses in retirement also.
Which is slightly ironic given the Affordable Care Act. But what would you say the worst thing individual or a couple going into retirement could do right now? Would you say like panic or?
Absolutely. The worst thing someone can do is panic and, take their money and put it all into cash. I tend to think that people that try and time situations like that, really can be wrong.
But Gutter says there are ways to lessen the impact if the federal financial crisis does occur.
I would say that they want to make sure that they have a really strong that they really have a strong balanced portfolio between fixed income as well as equities. I'm never one that suggests that people try and time the markets and pull their money out of stock markets. It's oftentimes challenging because, if you take your money out, the ability to actually get that growth again will be challenged. So I think it's really important that people would, maintain a level, maintain a nice asset allocation balance. Certainly as you get closer to retirement, you should be a little more conservative in general most of the time anyways. And so if people are following some of that traditional wisdom, ideally they've already got that asset allocation balance going for them and a pretty reasonable asset mix.
A balance in saving and spending is something Gutter believes to be an underestimated solution.
Be frugal. Frugality, as I say, is the new normal. So people just kind of looking at, trying to maintain a decent lifestyle without being too overzealous. I wouldn't rush out and make a lot of crazy new purchases. Might not be the time to buy the retirement boat yet.
He says at this point, all people can do is ride out the wave that is the financial uncertainty. For WUFT News, I'm Leah Harding.